Just to approve claims
About
in the amount of...
6:30, it's time to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. And I'm Tom McCormick, sitting in for Al Burchell. And I'm reserving my right to vote as 3rd District Alderperson. This first item of business is discussion of possible action on the minutes of the August 17, 2015 meeting. Any discussion?
No, I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Third is discussion and possible action on claims.
Your total's right there.
The claims total $779,056.41.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is the discussion of possible action on operators' licenses. Any discussion?
So move.
Second.
The staff recommendation.
Yep. So there's 7,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, staff's recommending approval of 7 licenses from September 9th of 2015 to June 30th of 2017. The
Yes.
list is available in the clerk's office.
With
There it is.
your motion
Yep.
and a second?
That's right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one is discussion of possible action on fuel bids for period from October 1st, 2015 to September 30th of 2016.
This is our annual fuel contract. We received 2 bids. One of the companies for the second year in a row didn't quite understand what we were looking at in terms of how to bid it. They bid a price as opposed to what we asked for in the bid is a markup over what the wholesale price is for that day. It's a listed wholesale price index. So the only really, well, the low bidder, I suppose, was was Countryside Co-op at 10 cents a gallon over the Opus index pricing. We are currently paying 10 cents a gallon over the index pricing for the contract within the current year that expires September 30th. And Countryside and then their predecessor, Consolidated Co-op, I think have been our fuel providers for the past 5 years. So, I'd recommend award to Countryside Co-op.
Any further discussion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is discussion of possible action on filling vacant patrol officer position. Chief Jensen?
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. On August 21st, one of our patrol officers resigned his position with the Hudson Police Department, which means we currently have a shortage in our patrol division. I'm asking permission to fill this position. I do have a current eligibility list I will be able to hire off of as I'm working with the Police and Fire Commission to start a new one for the next year.
I'll move for approval that he fill the officer's position.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Chief. Thank you. Next is discussion of possible action on determining a funding source for possible Tower Road improvements and the town of Troy's cost sharing for the proposed project. You have the information on it. This came up at Public Works. John, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think where we're at is we have the opportunity for some investigation and a report that the town's going to tell us about here in a second. But at some point, being able to do the feasibility report so we can look at the total budget and then try to figure out where the money's going to come from.
Tom?
Yes, as John mentioned, it was discussed here at the previous Public Works Committee meeting. There's a map attached there. It kind of just breaks down. You're likely familiar with where Tower Road is. On the east end is the old Highway 35. As you go to the west, there's comes up and over the new 35, and then there's a segment which is common line, goes right down the center of the street between the city and the town, adjacent to the business park. And as you continue west, there's a segment about 1,500 feet that ends up being back 100% in the township. So we've had a couple meetings with the town board chairman, and what we were looking at as a possible action for the for council is to go ahead with a feasibility study with that would define a preliminary section and a preliminary estimate of cost and a potential cost sharing and how to participate between the city and the town of Troy. And the first step would be the feasibility study as shown there. We've come up with a cost with one of the city consultants to prepare the report of $6,600. And the town has agreed to split that feasibility cost in two or 50-50. So the city's share would be $3,300. And relative to a funding source, I know the council here earlier this summer added Aspen Drive, which was a potential job, but it was added to our 2015 job, which is now recently completed, but the funding for that came out of the 2016 capital fund for roadway improvements. I guess as you look at Tower Road, it is, at least at this point, penciled in for one of the potential streets in next year's 2016 program as well. So it would seem likely that we could go ahead and call it a reallocation from next year's future 2016 program, at least the $3,300 to get that feasibility study completed. So that would, with that would be the staff recommendation.
Tom, has the town board approved it, or is this just an initial?
Well, we don't have an official town board, but I do have verbal as well as email correspondence from the town board chairman that they're in for the 3,300, 50%.
So a motion would be contingent on their approval then?
I would.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tom,
that seems fair.
can you describe for the folks why it is we even want to do this study and
Well,
condition
yeah,
of the
there,
road?
probably should have started with a little introduction, a little background, but it's basically an old town road. Not even sure who really constructed it, possibly the township. But it has a history of some really severe deterioration. This last winter going into spring was probably the worst. I think there's 4 or 5 or 6, let's call it large sections where the actual roadway is blown out. So it has now turned into kind of a maintenance headache for city staff. I know Tom and his crew has been out there several times with filling these things in with aggregate base, and there's been a discussion too, just from a maintenance perspective, of what needs to be done prior to winter, just to patch things back together so that the traveling public can drive that thing. But the thing has deteriorated to the point where you're not going to do a mill and overlay. It's just gone. So it's past the point of seal coating and mill and overlay. So right now it's basically needs to be reconstructed.
So is the township, provided we go down the road all the way, are they gonna be willing to go half and half as well?
Correct. That's why if you look at that map, that's kind of why I put it together that way. If you start on the east end when the bridge was constructed to a point a little bit, about 900 feet to the west, that was built, so that's probably, I think, 14, 15 years ago, something like that. So that portion of the road is in reasonably good shape. From that point, you're on the line, and by that I mean right on the city-town line till you get almost just south of the old dog track. And at that point, there's a jog, and then you become 100% within the town. What this report would address is the cost in that segment B as shown in the map, which is basically the stretch along the south end of the business park. And there's a couple issues there. One is a standard town road is a little bit less section, less thick, potentially less width than a standard city street. And the other thing this report would look at from the preliminary design and preliminary cost perspective is this likely would have to be even a thicker section than that because of the truck traffic. So if you look at what the recommendation to build there and the associated cost, from that point then we would go into how would we cost share the improvements. The town would not want to be paying, say, 50-50 for a thicker section due to the truck traffic, because they feel the truck traffic is more or less generated by the business park, which seems fair. But that's what we would doing the feasibility report, try to come up with a method, and, you know, and then that would be obviously open for discussion between city council and town board at that point. But this feasibility report would be the first step in getting to that point.
We had also discussed at the last Public Works, since those, I think I counted 7 sections that are actually gravel, that we can spend a little money now and fix it so it's not a maintenance headache for over the winter, or we could post it either no trucks or weight restriction, because it's really not suitable for trucks at this point. I mean,
I don't know. Tom and I have talked a little bit, and you're likely gonna have to do something there prior to winter, we're thinking, just to get through the winter.
Right.
And that, I think we're looking at some potential costs for what that might involve.
Just to follow through, then we, at Public Works, we're hoping to get this study done so that we could get a number, so that we could decide what level we would fix before winter and then going into 2016, so that's kind of.
Yeah, we should say too that the town does have a number that they've had for, I guess, a couple years in their roadway fund to address Tower Road, but again, depending on how the cost share, or let's say how the total cost comes out, and then the cost share with it.
Yeah, because we got our foot on the pedal with Vine Street, and, you know, we throw this, how many feet or miles is that?
Which one, this one here?
Yeah, tower.
Tower, I think the whole thing is about 1.2 miles. Again, that includes the 1,500 feet on the far west end that is 100% in the town.
About 900 feet from Solberg to the south of the dog track
Correct.
is what our share would be.
Well, prorated, I mean, there'd be some cost sharing.
Right, right.
Looks like it's 7,000 in total, less 1,500, so 5,500 feet is what it, right? Is that what you're first?
No, it's a little bit more than that. I think it's,
Oh, plus 1,500, so 7,000 feet.
yeah, it's about 7,000 feet.
Any other questions? Tom, do you have something to add?
Could we address this tonight to see where that funding would be for the repairs tonight, or would that be another issue?
We've
We
got to
would have
take
to
it.
have I would think we'd have to have a number before we could.
I actually have 2 quotes for the repair of those patches on our side, but,
It's not,
okay,
Not on the
no, it's
agenda.
on the agenda, sorry.
okay.
All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the $3,300 to the feasibility report for Tower Road.
I'll second, but if you can commit based on contingent for
Sure.
township approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item is discussion and possible action on funding sources for new chairs for council chambers.
Just to note, item 8 has been removed from the agenda. One prior. Randy has asked about getting, now that we have the new tables, getting some new chairs in here. There really wasn't a funding source identified. So Randy asked if we put this on the agenda to whether, Neil indicated that we cannot use the excess funds from the HVAC because that's a capital, and this wouldn't be considered a capital. So you've either got this year's contingency, and we also have some money in what we call the short-term capital that we do smaller things. So those would probably be the 2 options, right?
What's the better option, Neil?
You know, it's more appropriate. I mean, the short-term capital is for smaller items.
It's
and
not
I
gonna
think
be
this-
more than $1,000, I don't.
Well, the chairs are anywhere between 75 and 200. You know, the ones I've seen, that they have to be low enough that they fit underneath, you know. So the office, I was saying, that the higher office chairs with the arms and stuff probably wouldn't work, but, you know, there are some that have arms that go up and down, but anywhere between $75 and $200, so it's up to you what you'd want to allocate.
What's wrong with these chairs?
Oh. You haven't had this one over here yet, have you?
No, I mean the one I'm sitting in. It seems good to me.
Joyce is all the time.
Yeah, Joyce has got it there. Well, I would allocate out of that fund no more than $1,000.
See what, okay, that's fine.
And then I would like to help you pick the,
What I'll do is I'll find chairs under $100 and send you the,
well, I sent you an email from the police
right,
department.
yep. But I also I can go and see what the catalogs are now, and then
All right.
Any further
We all
discussion
Need a
on
second.
chairs?
We don't have a second yet.
Is there a second, first of all? The motion.
Sure, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is discussion possible action on bids for 2015 pathway improvements. Mr. Sifko.
Thank you. Last Thursday on the 3rd, we opened bids for 2015 pathway improvements. And we've, if you can see on your packet, we received 3 bids. Low bid was Zappa in an amount of $48,936. Relative to a funding source, the Park Capital Fund currently has the amounts listed there for trail improvements. The current allocation is listed there: Grandview Park, Lakefront Picnic Point Trail, and Prospect Park. And the amounts total $44,626. And as you can see, that's a little shy by about $4,300 of Zappa Brothers' low bid of $48,936. So what we put there is a summary on Zappa's bid. The bid included 4 parts. Again, parts 1, 2, and 3 were Prospect Park Pavilion, and the other parts 2 and 3 were Lakefront Park. One of them would be a small path, about 150 feet long, connecting the existing boat launch area with the existing path. And then the Picnic Point Park was the trail just on the south side by the Public Works building there, south of the boat launch. The way the low bid came out, it was $48,936 for those 3 items. The 4th part, which we had as part 4, was an alternate bid on Grandview, which was $10,788. So again, we're looking at the current funding source as $44,006. We're about $4,300 shy of that. So in looking at a potential funding source, we're looking at possibly reallocating from another park improvement project, and the suggested one would be Williams Park. Williams Park parking lot has an amount allocated, but that work was completed last year in 2014. There's an amount of $8,508 remaining at that. And so what we would recommend is to reallocate the $8,508 that's currently allocated with the Williams Park paving. Again, that parking lot is done. And then we would add that to the current allocation, making up the shortfall, and then a couple thousand extra, which we would use for contingency and/or engineering. So the staff recommendation would be if the reallocation of the Williams Park funds are reallocated, we would award the total base bid to Zappa in the amount of $48,936.25.
Tom, was the Williams Park overlay project in this year's, was it supposed to be done this year?
No, it was 2014.
So it's carried over for, this will be 2
Correct.
years.
That's my understanding.
No, this is the balance that's remaining. The cost of that project, the bids were less than what we had budgeted, and that's the work if you, by Williams Park along Laurel, how they redid all the parking spaces in there. That's that work. So this is leftover funds from that project that was completed and has been fully paid for.
So it's been sitting on the books for this past year?
Correct.
Yes, and actually the final payment on that, it was part of the 2014 mill and overlay project, and I think the final payment on that we just approved a couple months ago, didn't we, Tom?
Correct. I think it was about a month ago or so,
Right.
is what my recollection
So,
is.
we had kept it open, just knowing that, for any, I think even on that project, there were some, I don't know within this, but on the whole mill and overlay project, there were some contingencies. So we just, have kept it open.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion?
I think I'll move to approve the reallocation of the, what do you say, 8508,
Correct.
And the award is Zappa.
and award to the low bidder, Zappa.
I'll second it, but I just want to put an emphasis on, I think the park board and maybe Tom, you need to take a look at the picnic point and what the overall future of that area should look like in the future. I don't know if it's used enough, if we're sticking money into something that we shouldn't be as it floods and ruins that pavement down there. I think there just needs to be kind of a grand plan for the end of that part and picnic point. So I will second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. And, next item is discussion of possible action on utility director position.
As indicated in the issue sheet, Mayor Burchill, Public Works Chair Hoggett, and Utility President Preisel conducted interviews for the utility director. They selected a candidate, Kip Peters, who's utility director for Fox Lake. The offer of employment is on the next page. Catherine has reviewed it, and we would request approval of that. And if everything goes through, he will start on the 21st of September.
Can you tell us the details of the salary, et cetera?
Sure, the salary, $82,000, and it'll be split equally between water and wastewater. He'll get 1 week of vacation to start, 2 weeks the first of the year, and then he'll stay on the 3 weeks until he would move up per our policy. 80 hours of sick leave to start, and then it'll accrue per the policy. And then up to $3,000 for moving expenses when he moves with receipts. So depending on what it costs, up to $3,000. And then everything else will be per the employee handbook, all the other benefits and.
Any insight on the individual?
I thought he was a very strong candidate. Some of the main reasons, he's completely certified in water, he's,
Certifiable.
yeah, certified in both, and seemed to have an excellent handle on not only working with common council, but people within both utilities, and has a really good working relationship with the DNR. He's won several awards from Rural Water Association. Just a well-rounded person. I think he's going to be a great asset and attribute to our utilities.
And I believe it's 16 years he's been the director, I believe is and 25 years with the city and the utility.
That pay was negotiated, or was that the average?
Well, it's a combined director. The former director, the wastewater director, was in the mid-70s, I believe, low to mid-70s, and the water utility director was in the mid-60s, so the two of them, so it'll be a reduction in the cost to the utilities, so,
Okay,
because we only have one instead of two.
I think we're lucky to get him.
okay.
Any other discussion?
I'm going to move to approve the appointment of Kip Peters as the new utility director.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item is items for future agenda.
Just briefly, the budgets are due back the week of the 14th. I know a couple of the committees got pushed back a little bit. So if you could maybe, we can talk about it at the next meeting, the week of the 28th of September, or the first week in the October, to have the first session about the budget.
When's the next meeting?
The next meeting is the 21st, council meeting. So either the week after or sometime the week of the first meeting in October. Usually, normally what we do is we talk about the personnel issues first and then
Yeah.
pump those numbers in and then get back together. And
Public safety is gonna meet a week.
right, so there's no big rush. We have to wait on our health insurance number anyway.
Okay,
So that's going to be middle of next week, so we should be fine.
okay.
Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.